Before the war, I was in Ukraine and I was a student. I was schooling there in Ukraine. And the people there are not so much friendly, but I was living there because I was studying there and I didn't have anywhere to go. So while I was pregnant, I was always going to the clinic for checkups and all. And then one day I was waiting for my nurse and my midwife to come, and somebody passed, and then the person was behaving like a monkey while passing by and speaking Ukrainian, but I couldn't understand what she was saying. I just looked and just overlooked because obviously, if I talk, she doesn't understand and I don't understand what she's saying. So that itself already sets me back because I feel like I'm not accepted here. But when the war happened and I came to Germany as well, I felt a bit of that as well because I don't feel accepted because in Ukraine I wasn't accepted fully, but I was there. And here I'm still not accepted despite Germany being perceived as a country that harbors refugees, people that are displaced, but I haven't felt any of that since I got to Germany.
I was surprised when I got to the social and I said, this baby need an urgent operation. He need insurance because we've gone to the emergency twice with the ambulance, and after a while when the situation calmed down, they sent us back home that the situation is not critical enough. Is it on the or at the point of death when the situation will be critical to operate on his hernia? The response I got from them was that the law is more important than his life. I was like, we are not breaking any law here. He's a Ukrainian citizen. He has the right to have all this. But yeah, they said there's nothing they can do. We've gone to several hospitals, and when we met some other people that were willing to help, and we explained how much we've tried, they thought maybe we didn't make effort. And to their own surprise, so when they go to us to some big hospitals in Berlin here, and they heard the response from them, they're like, no, this can't be true. This can't really be true. And I'm surprised, and I'm sure the German government are not aware that all this are happening at the cover of darkness, and I'm sure some people are just doing this to actually target black Ukrainians. Yeah, and this is so obvious. This is a Ukrainian child with a passport, everything. He has everything, and to my surprise, they said he's not protected by Article 24. We will be left Ukraine at the point of entry. We cross the border to Poland. Our residence card were with us. They checked it. They checked our document before letting us into EU. Yeah, and to my surprise, they said we were not entitled to Article 24. Then who else is entitled to Article 24? Who else is protected by Article 24? Because that is one. Then two, we are not even seeking. We are not here because of government money or the government accommodation. We are grown-up adults. We are skilled. We are ready to work. We have all the qualifications to work. We have documents backing it up from our degree overseas has been authorized here in Germany. Even my wife wants to, I chose to continue working here in Germany because I think that is the option to survive, to protect my family, because to be stable financially, I need to work, I can work. I had to suspend my education to work because I'm qualified, I have the skills. but I was denied that right. My wife, she's willing to continue her studies, yet she was denied the right to even embark on study. So I don't know why we are being picked because of our color. I've seen people without documents, which are other nationals from Uzbekistan, from uh, India, without document. They were given residence permit. When they told me they were given, I said it is not true. That can't be true. Until they showed it to my face, I was like, wow, wow, wow. Then I realized it was then I realized I'm a black guy from Africa. I'm treated differently.
The first time was when I already noticed that he had an anemia, and he was always crying in pains because we were living in the camp. So I usually go to the doctors there, and then they will just give him pain reliefs, ibuprofen, and then he'll sleep and wake up and he'll be fine. But he wasn't always fine because he usually feels the pain. So this particular day, he was crying non-stop. Non-stop. He was crying. I took him to the doctors, and when he's crying, the hernia comes out. So they saw it, and then they tried to push it in. He couldn't go in. So they said they need to take him to the hospital. And I was already crying because my son was already in pain. Even before the ambulance came, before I took him there, I was already trying to keep him well. So going there, and then they're not telling me that he needs to go to the hospital. I started crying. I was scared that what is happening. The pain is too much. He was crying. When a child is crying that can't talk, but he's feeling so much pain. And then the ambulance came. We got to the hospital. The Ania had already gone back in. So I was thinking, okay, now that it's gone, maybe they would do the operation. They said no, that it's gone back in. It's not a case of emergency anymore. So they told us to go back home. They gave him ibuprofen. We went back home. We went back to the camp rather. We were at the camp. The second time it happened, it also happened at the camp. They called the emergency number and they also came. He was crying non-stop. Usually when he starts crying, I just know that he's feeling pain. So he was crying. This time around, I didn't wait. I went there. They saw the hernia. They tried to push it in. It couldn't go in. They called the ambulance. Again, when we got to the hospital, the hernia had already gone back in. They didn't operate it. They said we should go on, that we should use ibuprofen and try to get the insurance card so that they can schedule a date. But the insurance card hasn't come. The insurance company has refused to give him any insurance. So usually when he has the hernia, at the camp, when I went to the doctor told me that, okay, so when it comes out, I can always push it back in myself. But if it's not going back in, then we should go to the hospital. So when my child started kindergarten, because they always ask any medical history. So I told them that he has an hernia, and when it comes out, that the doctor said you should always push it back in. So I told them at the kindergarten, and then the kindergarten said that they can't do it, that it's not their job to do that, that they would call me or call an ambulance when it happens.
My appeal to German government is to look at our situation because it's a bit complicated one, despite all the evidences that my son is a Ukrainian. He was denied all the
Right.
rights and benefit protection is entitled to as a black Ukrainian, which is not supposed to be. And I want the German government to actually look into our situation, because looking at the situation of things, I'm not saying uh, we have all the rights, but there are some basic requirements that we meet before leaving the war. We are legally residing in Ukraine. We have all our permits, and we left Ukraine first week of the war, when there was mass influx of people from the war zone to a safe zone. We got registered there with all our documents, and to my best of understanding, uh, Article 24 gives protection to people, even third nationals fleeing the war from Ukraine, which I believe we were entitled to. But to my surprise, we were told we are denied all these rights. And that aside, we are professionals. We have our qualification, which has been uh, translated or equalized to German qualification, and we are certified uh, professionals in Germany that can take up professional job. And looking at my background as a specialist in industrial programming, commissioning, in the field of automation, and as a matter of fact, I'm a physicist in electrical electronics. And to my understanding, I believe German needs people like me to work to join the workforce. But yeah, the situation is on the contrary. My wife also, she's a graduate in economics. Yeah, all the privilege we're supposed to have to even uh, uh, for a smooth transition into the workforce, we're denied everything. Not looking at the fact that we have a strong tie to Ukraine. Our son is a Ukrainian. Currently, I have a job offer in control programming as a specialist, and this contract is worth about 65,000 euro per annum, and I'm scheduled to start in this March.